Hi everybody, Shawn back from the Sci-Fi Model Guy, and welcome to Chapter 8 of the U.S.S. Enterprise 1701-C full build. And before we get into the video here, I want to send a big thank you to everyone that has subscribed to this channel. We just broke 300 subs. We're at 301 at the time of this recording. I would have liked to have gotten that screenshot showing 300, but alas, an extra person jumped in there and kept me from it. For whoever you are, I thank you very much for that. So yeah, onward and upward, everyone. And if you're enjoying these videos, please drop a subscription on there. It really help the channel. Throw some comments in there. And don't forget, if you have any pictures of your projects or things you've done that you're proud of, shoot me an email. It's at the sci-fi model guy at gmail.com. Information is in the community or about section of the channel. And I will be doing another viewer mail user submission really soon. I might be posting that tomorrow, Sunday, and it'll be June 25th for those of you in the future who are watching this. And so, yeah, send those over to me. I haven't forgotten all of you, and that I'm really looking forward to doing another one. And in that segment, we'll be featuring a model shop in Northridge, California that I recently visited, and it's a great shop. We'll talk a little bit about that. Got some video of the store, and they were kind enough to show me. So yeah, a little bit of a long intro there, everybody. I'm really sorry about that, but I really want to thank you all for the subs. I'm super happy and humbled, and really happy with the way the channel's growing. So. A lot more to come, folks. A lot more to come. I've got so many kits. I brought a couple home from my business trip, and those are going to be a lot of fun to build. And then the secret project that I've been working on is done. All the videos done on that. I'm ready to produce and post a video on that. The only thing is, I still have to wait for the recipient to get it and unbox it, and then I'll be posting the little build series. It's like two video, maybe one video series on that. So yeah, lots more to come, everyone. Really long intro. I'm so sorry, but there's a lot to communicate here. And again, thank you all so much. And now just to talk a tiny little bit about this video that's coming up, we're going to be finishing the nacelles, and well, not really finishing the nacelles. We're going to be fixing the light leaks on the nacelles. And then at the end of the video, I just actually finished recording it. I'm going to have to do some putty work on those things. It just, the way this model was built, maybe it's just this kit didn't turn out as well as I had hoped. So we're going to have to do quite a bit of light leaking correction. Again, it's not anything I can't handle, but I'm going to have to figure it out, do it, and then we'll come back and talk about it. So I'll be recording that soon. We'll get another video up. Thank you again, everyone. Sorry for the long intro. And now on with this video. Enjoy. Thanks a lot. Hey everybody, so we're here looking at the nacelles, and I'm going to show you kind of where I'm going with this and give you a quick update. I didn't want to get too much work done. I've done a lot of painting off camera and masking and stuff, so we're going to be, I don't know if this segment here is going to come before or after that, but I have been posting some things on the channel in the community tab just to keep you updated, show you where I am currently in the build. And we're coming down to the home stretch on this. And so what I'm doing here is I'm gluing down the chiller grills here on the bottom parts of the nacelle. So I've done the bottom one on this side here and the other nacelle as well. But I just want to quickly show how I chose to do this, and because it's important to get it so that these things don't wiggle around and haven't as many light leaks. Hopefully won't have any. The last time I did this kit, it did have some, so pardon me, little hiccups. I've got some pegs here for the chiller grills to go in. They fit in very nicely, and so I'm going to be laying down some cement in there, some glue, and as well as very thinly along the corner here. Now, one thing I'm trying to do, I'm trying to keep it on the inside of this this piece. I don't want it on the outside edge here, because the glue could leak down, it could squirt out, and then potentially dissolve some of the paint. So it's kind of hard to demonstrate that with my hand in the way, so I was just trying to tell you, it's just on the inside here, and I'm trying to get a good amount down here in this area, because this, from experience, that's kind of where the light leaks tend to happen. So first I'm going to go ahead and fill the holes there. And then again, like I said, I'm going right on the inside, kind of trying to just dab it on the corner. And that did work with the other two that I did. I tested that before I chose to record it. So I know usually I show the things that go wrong, but I went ahead and tested it and just thought that would go with it here. So this is working. So you got it in the hole and then get it in the corner there and there. So it's ready to go. And you can, this stuff dries pretty quickly, and I've had some good experience with just kind of letting it get a little bit dry just for 10-20 seconds to get a little tacky. Some glues actually call for that or say that you should. So I'm laying it down these holes first and then just kind of gradually filling them in, I'm trying to avoid having to reposition the piece if I can, because that will start smearing the cement everywhere, and I want to lay it down one time. And once it's in, I'm just pressing a little bit. And what I should do is here where they meet, what I'm going to do is put a little bit here on the inside and let it kind of get there in between. It'll work its way in there a little. And then what I'll do is I'll just hold this very gently, pressing it together to get these two back ends to fuse. Now I can see some light. I can see some spacing here on the bottom. And unfortunately, I think that's just something about this model. So I'm going to have to, yeah, that's a pretty big gap. I'm going to have to do something about that. Yeah, not good. What I think I'll do is I can probably let this go. Let me grab my flashlight here. Yeah, and just holding it down. Let me stand up so if you can, let me tilt this up just to, well, I don't know if it's showing on the camera. I can see it from like this angle that I'm looking at this piece right here, and I can see a noticeable gap. And again, that's partly the reason I chose to light this from the top down, is because it may not be as noticeable if it was from the bottom up, but probably I'm wishful thinking, because this white paint in here will be very reflective. Okay. Well, we'll have to figure that out. That's just kind of one of those things you have to deal with these things. There's a bit of a gap in there too. So let me do a little bit of holding this here. This might be one of those cases where you just have to hold the glue for a little while, let it grip. And so yeah, the left side here that I had put on did go on pretty well. But now that I'm looking at it, we do see some light. Okay. All right, folks. So that's that. I'm going to continue working on this, and I'll come back and film another segment and let you know how it resolved. Be right back. Okay, folks, we're looking here at the aft section of the ship with the nacelles ready to go and be mounted, and the wiring done here. So I wanted to pause at this stage to record this section. Now the nacelles, I've gone ahead and glued down the chiller grills into the bottom portions of the nacelles. And if you recall from last section, I went ahead and I did do the solar resin here and dabbed it with the blue paint. I did not do it on this side. The glue, these actually went down a little bit smoother, and there was that gap here where the chiller grill is connected to there, and the same as here. So I just decided to forego with the solar res solution. Part of that is just curiosity. I want to see what it looks like when everything's said and done and locked down and glued together. And see, I'll solve it either way, either with putty or it may not need a solution. So this is kind of an experiment on my end. And again, this ship is for me. I'm not doing this for anyone else. So I'm treating this kind of like it's a learning. Well, they're all learning, actually. So. Anyway, so without further delay, the wires here, if you recall, we drilled down the channel in the bottom and top section of the fantail or the aft section, and not too deeply on each one, but it's going to be thick enough. Combined, I drilled out enough area to cover the thickness of the wires. And if you recall, there's 3 wires for each side, the positive and negative, of course, for the regular power, and then the other negative, which is going to connect to the nav board for the blinking lights, the nav lights on the back of the nacelles. So 3 wires in total, and so. Again, I decided to use tape here because tape is very thin. Originally, I was thinking of gluing it, but the glue is thick, and the tape is enough to hold it down in place long enough to put this over and glue it, and it's going to be fine. So I'll just do a test fit. And you can see here it will glue together just fine, beautifully with all the wires coming out. And I left myself a very long... amount. I mean, it's really going to come out of the front of the it's really going to come out of the front of the ship with a lot of extra, which is fine. You don't want to cut yourself short by any means with these wires. I also left them very long here to come through here and do the wiring. So the plan is going to be let me get this over on this side. I'm going to probably be using the helping hands. And what I'm going to do is I'll just demonstrate this briefly. Let me make sure here, hold on, that I don't mess anything up. There we go. Kind of turned into some spaghetti here, so I'm still going to have to work this out. What I'm going to do is feed these wires through here, through the hole that I had drilled, and put the, insert the cell into the mounting strut. And then as that's going to be hanging here, I'll be using the helping hands over here to kind of hold the other nacelle in midair while I wire everything up and do the connections and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the first nacelle off camera, learn what I can, then I'll record the other nacelle and show you how I solved that problem. This is not something I want to kind of figure out in real time in front of you. It just take a little bit too long. So this is going to be something where I'm going to learn first and then show you. But that's pretty much the plan here. So the first thing will be to glue this together. I'm going to use some tape just to hold it together, get it down. I might even use a clamp. The clamps will actually be good on this because they're flat, and let that hold for a few minutes, and then we'll go ahead and wire it up. So we come right back with the next section. You'll see this together here, and at least one of the nacelles wired and ready to go, and then I'll do it live on the and record the process for the other nacelle. So we'll be right back, everyone. Hey everybody, just a quick aside here as I was going through. And originally my plan was going to be that I was going to paint the nacelles after assembly, but I changed my mind. And what I did was, since they're not glued together, I just taped them on the front, in the back there, just to hold them together. And then I went ahead and proceeded to just mask it. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about how I masked these nacelles. So you can see here these little ribs there. With that, I just use this very thin masking tape here. And what I would do, I would cut it to a length of about that long. Well, I'll just demonstrate it here just to give you an idea. So what I did, I pre-cut, so there's 8 ribs, I guess I'm calling them ribs. There's 8 of them on each nacelle. So I cut one that was a pretty good length. Again, so my idea is to stretch these out a little bit. So kind of would take the tape, line it down, over here, give it plenty of extension down here, hold it with my thumb, and then stretch it over like that, and then wrap it around this side. And then once I was done with all of them, I took another piece of tape and did it this way to kind of clamp these down, because this tape's not very sticky, and it was tending to pop up a little bit, which would mean the paint could get underneath there. So I just I may as well just leave this thing on. Make sure it's aligned. There we go. And then I just took the, when I was done, take my little dental pick and the rounded part of it here and just kind of rubbed it like that to get it on there. And this is kind of a little bit of a side point there. When you're touching these, prepping these things for painting, you want to either wear gloves or wash your hands really well, because you can get some of your oil from your hands on the model, and there's a very slim chance it could affect the way the paint sticks to it, or give some discoloration or something like that, or maybe even make your tape not stick to the plastic. So a little word of advice: just give your hands a good wash before you start doing this. Maybe even a little bit of like hand sanitizer that evaporates real quick, like almost like isopropyl alcohol or something. I just had a fly be interested in my ear. Okay, so that was it. And then over here on the sides, what I did, I would I lined up the tape real loosely. I have to go get more frog tape. I'm running out. So just a little demonstration here. Laid this tape down on the sides just to line it up, and then I didn't push it down with my finger quite yet. I'm using, again, the rounded bit of this tool, and just did it like that, and not the sharp part, but the rounded part at first, and then I went through with my finger and kind of pressed it down a little bit. And then in these corners, you can give it a little bit more of a solid pressing on there to get it to at least be as flush as possible with the plastic, so it avoids any paint runoff. Okay, so that was it. Just a little bit of an aside there on this part, and I'm going to go paint this, wait a few minutes, take it off, and then the final reveal. So we'll see you shortly. All right, now I'm ready to go ahead and try to fix some of these light leaks out of the nacelles, and I've done one side as a test, and then we're going to show you what I did over here on the starboard side. So I just want to show real quick that the light leaks, there you can see it coming through, and it's a very thin gap, but it's there, and I got to fill it. So I want to try to not use the putty because this gap is so big, and any fluctuation or movement in the plastic would just cause it to crack open. So I'm going to glue it together first to the best that we can. And that glue might actually kind of fill the gap there once it dries, and I won't need as much putty. And the putty can be used more for light blocking against a solid, so there won't be any air basically between the nacelle piece in the chiller grill. So what I'm going to do here is I got a long strip of tape, and this is what I did on the other side. So I wanted to make sure I could get it done. So I've got a strip of tape there, and I'm going to take another strip of tape and put it on the other side of the support or strut, whatever we call it. And try not to get it to stick to my towel. Okay. So I've got these ready, and the tape is obviously to hold it together, and it worked pretty well over there. This might take a few rounds of gluing and stuff, so I don't want to try to solve it all in one go. I want to do a little bit at a time and then see where we're at. So you can't really see, but you can see on my finger here. Let me move it up a little. There we go. So I'm going to put my finger here, and you can see this light coming through. So I think that's coming from the top. But I'm working on what, from my perspective, the bottom. So I'm going to lay some glue in. And this is that Revell glue. So let me lift it up a little bit. So I'm gotta be very careful not to let this get everywhere, because this stuff will melt paint, or it kind of disintegrates the paint. So I've got it there, I'm holding it, and I'm just taking the tape around like that, and I'm leaving, and it is holding it together. So that's just enough pressure holding this together. You don't need to clamp it down really tight. So I'm putting a little bit over here on the other side. I'm going to lift it up a little bit, squeeze them together, and just wrap this tape. And that should be enough. So I don't see any light coming out now, and I put my finger down. So some of it might be coming from the top part that the tape is blocking. But this is working pretty well. I'm a little happy with this. So obviously when you see major light leaks like that in such a big piece, it's a little bit discouraging. And let me make sure I get these wires separated. I don't want another meltdown. So that's holding. I'm going to let this sit for a few hours, and then we'll take it apart, take it off, and I'll see what else down here. So I might put a little bit more glue in there just to keep them together, and then maybe the plastic putty. We'll get this, and I'll water it down with you can water it down to like a heavy cream, and that will be enough for me to get some into my syringe, and we can beat it in there over layers of very thin putty. We don't have to splash it in there like it's cement or concrete or something. You could go very few layers. So again, patience pays off in something like this. If you have light leaks, especially large ones, take smaller steps and just do a little at a time. You're not going to fix it in one round of work, probably, especially with something like this where these things can fluctuate and move, because this putty's great, but if it's you should be using it only in places that aren't moving around and flexing. It's not a flexible material, so it will crack off and just crumble, and then you'll be disappointed. So go slow, squeeze it together, lay in a little bit of glue at a time. If you only have to do one section at a time, or if you can only do one little section at a time, do it. It's worth it. And we'll come back in a few hours, and we'll see what it looks like, and then we'll flip it over and take again of what we have to do. But this worked pretty well. This is the Revell Contact Professional, and it came out. It's a little thick. It's not very runny, which is good. I wanted more control over how fast it was coming out. Whereas the Testors cement, which I've had this for a long time, it does kind of run very quickly. So I needed something a little thicker that would be filling this gap a little bit better, and it seems to have done the trick. It does look like I might have removed a little bit of the blue paint here on the chiller grill, but I can come back with the airbrush later and fix that. I don't like to use the airbrush to fix tiny little areas, because then you got to clean it again, but it's worth it for this model. All right, so that is it for this segment. We'll come back and take the tape off, and we'll look at it together and see what it looks like, and we'll talk about what next steps we're going to take. And we'll see you soon. Hey everybody, so it's been quite a few days since I've been here in the shop. I did have to go out of town on a business trip and working 2 jobs, real life and all that. So I think it's been about a week and a half, and I'm recording this the day I'm posting this video. So I'm kind of out of material. Usually I have a little bit of a backlog of things to just work on, post a video, and keep working. But right now I'm going to have to do some catch-up work because I've been unable to get into the shop for a few days. So anyway, last we checked, I had gone through and put some glue down and squeezed it together to fill as to get the light leaks under control as much as possible. And then whatever we can't get with the glue, but then we'll have to go with some putty and paint. It's really unfortunate. I really don't see a way around it. It's just the way these pieces fit together here. It's just not really all that great. So I'm going to have to do some putty work. Yeah, there's really no other way around it. I mean, these nacelle pieces, the grills are identical, as much as I can tell. And so these light leaks are just, I think, probably a design problem, not so much as a problem. Maybe there are some things we could have done. But again, this is a learning one here. So if you're following along, just be mindful of these potential light leaks, and especially up here, this one on the upper end. I'm going to, so you can see it there. It's right in here. They're real bad. Now these here, they're not really that bad. I can do some putty work, but there's a couple real large gaps. I'll attack that offline, and then we'll show you. So there we are with that. Turn on the light. The other thing I want to talk about is I went ahead and painted these kind of details on here, and I didn't record that aside from these top parts of the nacelles. I did show the masking for that, and I don't think I showed the masking that I did for the secondary hull. So I'm going to talk about those real quick, and then we'll end the video here. So I'm going to bring it up, and if you can see that there's some kind of striping here, and originally I wasn't going to do that. And then I changed my mind. It's just masking. It's just various widths of tape, and you put it down, wrap it around, make sure you mask everything really well, and just hit it with a spray paint or your airbrush, whichever you're using. And it really came out nice. I really like the subtle changes here. You don't really notice it unless you're looking for it, but it adds some really nice detail to the model. Kind of like those unseen details that, as a whole, they really make a big effect, even if you don't notice them right away. Oh, there's just another piece I gotta glue there, and just noticed it. Yeah, and so I'd done the masking here and painted that, and this is all spray paint. Everybody, there's no airbrushing here. And for these, I just used the really thin tape. I don't see it in front of me offhand. I'm kind of recording this video on the fly. But yeah, you just lay it down, stretch it, get it to fill the gaps, take your time, mask everything, and hit it with spray paint, and then you can take it off pretty quickly. So that came out good. And then the other thing, so I'm going to show here is the secondary hull. And I'm starting to sweat in here. It's really, really hot today. And I turned off my air conditioner here for the noise. So I'm going to have to cut this segment short. So yeah, this secondary hull came out really nice. I think I had posted some pictures of it as a community post, but there you can see. Originally, again, I wasn't going to paint this because the things I've seen online, some of the grid patterns, I just didn't like the way they looked personally. So I thought of maybe if I did these little lines here that are the base color of the ship a little bit thinner. Some of the things I'd seen is very thick kind of grid pattern. But on here, yeah, I said, why don't I just go very thin, almost barely noticeable? And I think, personally, it came out really nice. And I'm very happy with this kind of color of blue that I chose for this ribbed section on the hull. I think it's gray in other models. And here's a little bit that I missed. But yeah, it's just kind of a personal choice. I went with it's kind of a blue theme on this, just like the other ships. And the studio model is actually a very, very blue, almost like the Excelsior. But I wanted a little more grayish side. So I'm good. I'm happy with this. Unhappy with the nacelles, but I'll fix that. And I also still have to fix that saucer section that we talked about. So, okay, everyone, that's it for this video for sure. I'm going to be working really, really hard on the model tomorrow. It's Sunday. I've got a full day off, so I'm going to spend a lot of time in here in the shop getting this fixed up, and I'll do that off camera, and we'll come back and talk about it and get another video. And good news is we've got a lot more videos coming up, and we'll see you all in the future, everybody. Talk to you soon.